We spend a lot of time talking about the problems facing our oceans: acidification, pollution, overfishing. And while those are very big problems, there is still hope. Hope to restore fisheries and the livelihood of the people who depend on them. That hope depends not just what is happening on a global level, but also in the communities along our coastlines. And it all starts with a few small changes. I am from the Philippines. It is a country made up of 7,107 islands within the Coral Triangle. We are known for our great food, incredible spirit, and ability to have fun. And I can assure you, it truly is more fun in the Philippines. We have the most amazing oceans just off our coast. We are the center of the Earth's marine biodiversity, with over 2,000 fish species, 600 coral species, whales, dolphins, whale sharks, and more filling our waters. It is a truly incredible and beautiful place, but it is also facing an oceanic crisis. My community, the municipality of Ayungon, has long seen the problem. People in my town are mostly farmers and fishers. These fishers and their families depend on the sea for their income and daily sustenance. Yet, year after year, they catch fewer fish. There's less fish out there. My grandfather used to tell me that our seas were so rich that one could scoop a bucket and come home with a bounty. Today, it is not so. That is a lesson I learned while spending some time with a local fisher, Billy Alberto. 3 years ago, I went out on a boat with Billy Alberto. Billy is a typical fisher from my village. He is 46, married with 4 children, a devout Roman Catholic, and has spent much of his life in a boat just off our coast since his father taught him to fish. Over the next 3 hours, we caught 3 small fish. Fish, he explained, were scarce. Fishers regularly use illegal methods such as cyanide and dynamite in order to increase their fish catch. They would also intrude to our marine sanctuaries and cut the marker buoys delineated along the area in order to increase their fishing grounds. If only they weren't his friends, Billy said he would report them. But these fishermen and fisherwomen are not bad people. They're simply trying to make a living and feed their families. They're the sons, cousins, friends within our Ayungon family. It's easy to blame the fishers. After all, they're the ones doing the fishing. But instead, we must engage the whole communities and change their ways. The problem was, and is always, finding out how that would work. Then my organization heard about this international conservation organization named RARE that has a formula for creating social movements by helping the local communities take pride in their local natural resources. This effort engages the fishers as well as the whole community to take care of the sea, just as they would take care of their children, to see these resources as uniquely theirs and vulnerable to be lost if aren't protected. Thus, I became a conservation fellow, a local leader who uses traditional marketing strategies in order to inspire pride and change how the fishers fish. This is where things get tricky. After all, I was not a marketer. How would I know the formula for influencing behavior? Rare's training helped. I started by talking with the community. During one of my conversations, I met Eduardo Billones, a notorious dynamite fisher who was apprehended several times by the authorities, but still he did not stop. He did not see why he should change his ways. After all, wasn't it still a race to fish and feed our families? I also met Oliver Dayupay, one of the guards voluntarily guarding our marine sanctuaries. Time and time again, he would risk his dear life in order to protect what he calls his treasure. These conversations with Eduardo, Billy, and Oliver helped my behavior change campaign. I created a holistic approach based on social and biological science. I also worked with fisher organizations to create a more effective management committee. We mapped out the marine sanctuaries, built enforcement teams to ensure no one entered, and used basic science to keep track of our fish supply. These fishers then helped serve as key influencers to change the social norms around fishing in Ayungon. My marketing campaign also targeted on other people and messages that would resonate. I carefully identified who the key influencers of my target audiences were. For example, for Billy, a devout Roman Catholic, our local priest. For Eduardo, his peers. For others, their families and friends. My conversation with Oliver Dayupay on risking his life to protect our marine resources guided my messaging. I could still remember every word he uttered. I will risk my life over and over again for something that gives me life. I am a father to 3 fishermen's sons. What will become of them if fish stocks will continue to drop? We must protect our resources for generations to come. And thus, that became the root of our tagline, Palambuon karon, gasa sa kaugmaon. Or we let our nature flourish today so we have something to bequeath to our future generations. Fishers like Eduardo, Billy, and Oliver all thought of fishing as a family tradition. While I focus on the fishers, the second part of my marketing campaign targeted the broader community who could pressure them to fish properly. I carefully customized a mascot, just as brands and universities create a mascot to share a message and build pride. I, together with the local fishers in Iniban, chose the raccoon butterfly fish, a fish with which the community could connect, and named him Louie. Of course, it too needed to be carefully tested. One of my first focus groups told me that my seagrass looked like a rice, and that my fish looked like a frog. The countless revisions led me to the final version, labeled by one fisher as the most beautiful fish he'd ever seen. I also work with children, the next liners of this earth, and a key influencer group during various school visits. We knew they would go home and ask, Daddy, why aren't you taking care of the sea? So I can be like you and fish one day. We also targeted all the sectors in the community during various community activities. Mural painting, coastal cleanups, basketball tournaments, and more, all to get the people engaged and change the social norms around fishing in Ayungon. Over time, I saw how my efforts built the social, legal, and management structures that influence change and brought our fishers to feeling part of a community and a greater cause. Indeed, humanity is both the cause and the solution to our environmental problems. Over the 3 years, we have seen our fish stocks increase to a nearly full metric ton. These results are incredibly motivating for us. Community knowledge on why the marine sanctuaries are powerful increased from just over 25% to over 60%. 90% of the fishers believe that no one should be fishing in those areas. And since we've started working, fishers have reported that their fish catch have gone up. We know we still have a lot of things to do, but these results are our first step. And now we are slowly being recognized across the country, as we are now part of the top 12 well-managed marine protected area out of the 1,800 in the Philippines. Thank you. But far more important than ranking is seeing total strangers working as one, enemies becoming friends, people caring more for the environment and changing their ways so that generations to come could still live in a world where fishing is still possible. I can now stand on the same shoreline where I once saw fishers destroying the reefs and see the same ones protecting it. That is my own sense of pride. I am not alone in this journey. I'm just one of the many conservation fellows working in the Philippines and around the globe in order to protect our marine resources. We are slowly transforming the Philippines and serving as a model to other countries and communities. We are the Philippines. We are proud of our country, our people, and the land and the seas that are uniquely ours. Thank you.